Welcome back to the Ride Along channel. Yes, you are live and on board up there and also down here underneath my feet. And for today's session, which is all about tacking, I'm also going to use a whole bunch of clips from other sessions to really try and solidify the points that I'm trying to make and make it as clear as possible how you can get your tacks from something like this in towards something like this one. Maybe a little bit of this one. And then eventually all the way up to this, something like a full speed, fully planing in, carved tack style entrance, possibly even a no-handed style exit. That's what's going to be happening. Welcome to the channel. Here we go. Now I'm going to break this down into loads of small little pieces over the next few minutes. And something that I think is quite key to bear in mind is we have like a classic beginner tack, a static turn if you will, 2 feet holding onto the mast and then sailing away. I could even rephrase that slightly. For the beginner tack, we definitely encourage the beginners to go front hands onto the mast, then start to steer through the eye of the wind, keeping the sail low and stepping round. And there seems to be a gap for most people that goes from that, well, now I need to learn the fast tack. So how do we get from this beginnery style tack into a classic fast tack? That's the missing link, and that's really what I want to explain just now. Rather than just aiming for that final picture, how can we build up to it slowly and put those different pieces of the puzzle together? We'll start with the entrance, would make sense. That's the first bit we're going to come to. And something I think is key for the entrance is around this sort of level. We're talking good beginners moving into intermediate status, if you will. And reminding that for our advanced windsurfers is that you're probably using the harness. So whilst using the harness, your front hand is going to go to the mast before you then unhook and steer that last bit into the wind. Now, the easiest way to get from a sailing position hooked in to the mast is to make sure you're definitely sailing upwind at the start of this. A consistent upwind sailing line, front hand onto the mast, then unhook, and that's prepared our tack nicely. That's got that entrance ready to go. Now, key point again. Sailing upwind, hooked in. This is identical if you are going harness and foot straps at full speed. Sail upwind, check for a bit of space, of course. I know there's no one around me now. Front hand to the mast, then unhook before we think about actually slowing down and going around the next part of the turn. Getting that front hand to the mast will make the transition and the exit so much easier. While I'm explaining this, by the way, you should know what kit I'm on, which is a 141 litre starboard go, a super stable platform for the classic aspiring windsurfer, let's say. This works fantastic for a good beginner trying to get towards the foot straps, really solidifying foot strap control and blasting skills, and moving all the way up and into carve jives. The starboard go, anywhere between really 120 or 160 litres. You've got a nice big range to create that solid platform to improve your tacks, jives and blasting skills. I'm on a 5 metre spy right now from point 7, a classic high wind freestyle wave style sail. And in the wind I've got just now, which is I'd say about 10 knots. It's building into what I think is going to be an epic afternoon here in Vasiliki. This is a nice stable power source to practice what it is I'm trying just now, the 5-meter spy. The entrance then, front hand, then unhook. Now starting to think about footwork. When I step the front foot around the mast, which is nice and early, I can then start thinking about some foot steering to complement the rig steering. And what I mean by that is, on the entrance, I'm going to want a lot of pressure on the back foot. If my weight is on the back foot, the board will turn fairly quickly up and into the wind. This is the same if you're full speed blasting, going for a nice powerful carve tack. In the harness and foot straps still, front hand into the mast, unhook, still in the foot straps if you're going faster, weight on the back foot will really aid the speed that board turns and carves into the wind. You can really see that on these ones I'm demonstrating now. By completely lifting up that front foot, there's almost no weight on that front foot at all on the entrance. Now this entrance position is almost exactly the same from a good beginner all the way up to advanced. Back foot steering to drive you into the wind. Now we're starting to move towards the transition. This is where we can start to think of let's call it an ability spectrum if you like, a little bit of a scale as to how you're going to make the transition and the exit, depending on what you've learned to do so far. The goal, of course, is to get around the other side, get a little bit of power on. The easiest way I can encourage that you make this transition is on the entrance, steer through the wind before you try and move your hands or your feet to the new side. So I'm steering up into the wind, over sheet, by pulling a little bit harder with the back hand before you then try and go around the other side. Now once again, steer into the wind, over sheet with the back hand and over push with your back foot, so that when you actually step around, I've kind of already done the hard work. I'm already on the new side. There's no need to throw the rig forward and do that classic bow and arrow position you hear about. Through the wind, then step up towards the mast, and I'm actually in no rush at all to do anything. When I'm then ready, the sail goes back to its balance point, I give it a little bit of power, and I sail away. By doing this, there's not even any rush to do a super snappy foot change. I can step up, and I can wait. I can let the board turn a little bit. The wind will naturally want to turn the board off the wind, much like a dinghy or a powerboat, anyone that's been using those sort of things as well. By going slightly through the wind, the board then wants to turn in the wind. Even if we're doing there we go, what I'd say is a slow tack there, it still goes through the wind. And that actually was the stepping stone tack that you just saw. up and into the wind, through the wind. Don't move your hands much at all, but move your feet kind of like a beginnery style tack. I'm now across the wind on the new side, ready to sail away again. Let's see that again, because this I think is quite a key stepping stone. There's my entrance, steering into the wind. Hands will stay pretty much in the same place, but feet step up like a beginnery turn. When you're ready, across the wind, balance point, bit of power. Now those little steps on that one actually link me nicely into a cheat. Now you're watching my feet on that tack there. Did you see the cheat? Let's see the full tack. We're focusing on the footwork cheat just here. Just before I go round, through the eye of the wind, there's a little cheat step before I then make that nice, snappy, if you like, slightly quicker foot change. The cheat step is one little shuffle with both feet just a bit further around. This is my entrance footwork. The cheat, then the step. It creates a little bit more space on the board on the new side, giving you a little bit more room to step into, so that when you then make that heel-to-heel bump, replacing your front foot with the new front foot, that was the heel-to-heel bump, you then have all the space in the world on the new side to take your time, balance in a neutral, upright, vertical position, as in not relying on the sail for stability or counterbalance. Cheat step, step and wait, then a little bit of power towards the exit. Sometimes I call this the cowboy tack. There's the cheat. Go through a bit further. There's the cowboy. Yeah! And then, when you're ready, you just put your power back on and sail away. There's not even any need to lean the sail forwards and across or towards the wind like you're often seeing to steer downwind, because the board already has gone through the wind. There's the little cowboy move. Then, balance point to power. And that idea is what leads you up towards the no-handed tack, or the waft. The front hand is the one doing the work, pulling that sail across to create all the space on the new side. Now you've seen through this video and a couple of clips just now, it doesn't really matter which hand then takes the mast, as in, is it boom or mast to take the new side of the sail? That time there, that was the mast. A couple of the clips now you're seeing onto the boom. Doesn't matter which one you take, but you're creating the space using that original front hand on the mast on the entrance. This hand here pulling to there is what gives you all that space. As long as you don't try and power up, still holding the mast, you can take the mast to help towards the exit. Pause for a second, then go back onto the boom. This time we're going to go onto the mast. There's the mast. I'm ready to power up. There's the boom. This time onto the boom. There. Wait. Power. So these are now fast tacks, but if I think of slowing them down a little bit, rather than just trying to power up instantly, you can have a lot more chance of success. Now sure, I'm doing this on a 140 litre board right now, but the clips you're seeing around it are actually much smaller boards that you can now see. Now there most definitely are some extra things going in there, but a quick summary. The front hand to the mast whilst you're still hooked into the harness. That's your entrance. Go through the eye of the wind before you try and make a transition. When you step around, if possible, bump heel to heel to create the new front foot. Give your safe space. Use the cheek step, that extra little push, that extra little step to create a bit more space so you can then make that transition. And as you make the transition, as you pull the sail from one side to the other, it's the original front hand that pulls the sail across from one side to the other. Thanks as always for joining me here on the Ride Along channel. Don't forget, if you've not already, to hit subscribe and join me for a few more of these sessions. There's loads more videos on the channel for you to check out. And hopefully I'll see you back here for another one, or of course out here in Vasiliki for a cheeky little clinic or two. Thanks very much. See you next time. Okay.
TikTok. Should have scheduled.